Hey, Kim, Sean, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
We can.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Oh, does everybody miss me? Are you guys sad? Are you crying?
We are going to miss your vote. And
I still get a vote.
I may get to split decide a vote here, or we don't know.
I still get to vote.
We just voted to,
I'm
we just
overruling
voted
it.
you in as the dunk tanktress at the Coffee and Council. That's next one, okay? So,
Perfect. I'm in. Anything for my community.
So now I have to listen to your voice with that echo, I guess.
These things.
It's got an echo to it.
Now you see how I feel when you're like Oz above me.
She is everywhere.
Touch those monitors.
We have a good working relationship with our mayor pro tem, just so you know. We can get away with, it's a fine line, though.
All right, Joe, you are good to start whenever
All
you're
right.
ready.
Well, welcome, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting, June 13th. I showed the time at 6:03, and I show that we have a full quorum with Mayor Pro Tem Kim Vanderburg participating remotely. So now that we have that, I need, before we begin, consider allowing council members to participate remotely. I need a motion.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess you get the vote, Kim. Motion passes. Next up, we have adoption of agenda. Do we have any changes? Kim, you usually have a whole list for me. Nothing, huh? Okay, that's good. All right, that being said, I'll need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Next up, public comment. Do we have anyone? What are you looking at? You're smiling. Kim on the big screen? Am I missing something? Oh, she's right behind me. I'm gonna have to move over.
She can still kick you, Joe.
Yeah, she's got a dagger. I'll be able to watch her from my screen over here, so.
Mr. Mayor, I believe we don't have anyone
No one
requesting to
signed
speak.
up, okay. No one's out with the pitchforks, that's good. Or to compliment us for that matter. Next up, we have presentations. Go right into presentation and consider the adoption of the Village of Marvin Wayfinding Master Plan prepared by Arnett, Muldrow, and Associates. And I think that's who we have on the screen there, if I'm not mistaken.
You do. This is Sean Turpak with Arnett Muldrow and Associates, and I've been working with Austin and his team and everybody for the past few months putting all of this together. So really excited to share the update on this and hopefully move it forward so Austin can start doing the hard work.
All right.
Yay.
I'm going to share this. Are you seeing the cover slide for that?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So just the first slide here, just wanted to recognize and thank the steering committee for all of their diligent work throughout this process, through the branding and the wayfinding. You know, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and this has probably been one of the most smooth going projects that I've been a part of. And so I really appreciate all of Austin's diligence and the committee for all of their time and effort that they put in to sort of guide this process from the inception of it through the adoption of everything. And really, it speaks to the confidence I have for them to implement as well moving forward. So it was really a great project and process. So I just really appreciate everybody's time and input. So what we're going to show today is basically where we landed with everything. First slide, looking at the Trailblazer designs for the vehicular signage using some nice wood signposts inspired by some of your existing park signs, but also playing into that equestrian heritage and history that you all have in the village, and showing what some of those different scale and size signs could look like with the accent panels on them as well. And these are some of the example signs that are in the system, as well as some gateway signs, whether they're the more monumental size signs that are going to be at your primary sort of entry points to the character area of the village. And I say character area because some of the recommendations in the report may be outside of the municipal boundaries of the village, but they're very important locations to consider to put up some gateway signs because they're heavily trafficked areas, and it's really important to kind of establish the presence of the village. And I'll show some of those locations in a moment, but those locations we are recommending are going to be, some of them might be potentially out of the municipal boundaries, but they're still an unincorporated area. And after talking to DOT and I believe the county, that I don't think anybody's going to have any problem with locating signs there. So these show the existing park sign updated with the new brand and a fresh coat of stain on the wood, and a couple of other concepts for the gateways, whether monumental or pole mounted. And then we looked at the routes and really worked on establishing what our routes are going to be for people coming into the village, as well as sort of circumnavigating around the village. And some of these are, definitely going to be more heavily trafficked than others. But, the village being fairly small, it was easy study to just focus in on those primary corridors for us. And then looking at that, putting together a destination list. And these were all sort of the ones that we felt would fit within the requirements for the inclusion criteria that DOT, Federal Highway Traffic, puts together in their manual for uniform traffic control devices, which there is some criteria about being nonprofit, open to the public, and a couple others in there that we wanted to make sure that these all fit. There was a lot of discussion about the potential to include the country club and Firethorn as a golf course in the system, and DOT, and going back and forth with them, they felt that they would fit on the tourism-oriented destinational sign with logos and such, but they weren't really clear to me, and in numerous exchanges I had with them about whether it would be appropriate for community wayfinding. So we erred on the side of removing them from the wayfinding system, since they are a private destination. You have to be a member. The public is allowed there for lessons and as invited guests, but we worried that we could get a little pushback in the permitting process and have to go back through and redesign some of the signs and the machinations of the system. So the signs that this is where we landed with the system does not include the country club on it, but it is included in the report, just to show for anybody else that comes along and picks this report up and is working on it, that it was a consideration, that it wasn't an oversight. So once we've got the routes mapped and the destinations, that's where we figure out all of our decision points. And in here, I didn't put the legend in here, but it is in the report about the tiering of the signs. So we've got or phasing of the signs. The lighter blue are the earlier phase signs, and we're currently at 3 phases for the signs, and I'll show the breakdown of that in a moment. But you can kind of see the density of the signs around some of your more key intersections, especially around the Village Hall, coming in on Newtown, and then where the gateways are. And here again, you can see, as I was mentioning earlier, where those gateways could be that are potentially outside of the municipal boundaries, most specifically on Ray Road and Providence. There's a couple there that are I think Providence is mostly in the jurisdiction, but the one on the south side of it on, I'm drawing a blank on that road name there, here to the southeast.
Bonds Grove.
Bonds Grove, thank you. You know, the municipal boundary is in the northwest corner of that intersection, where we could easily place a sign. But one of the things that Austin even mentioned to me is that there are plans that DOT continues to mention without setting any solid deadlines or sort of milestones for widening Providence. And so that sign might be postponed just to make sure that it's going to be cleared of the right of way after construction, or once they can provide some construction documentation to know where that right of way will be. And then you could safely place that sign without having to remove it and rebuild it. And so then looking at the phasing strategy, as I mentioned, you know, right now we're looking at the first phase, having about 11 signs in that phase, 10 in the second phase, and then 6 in the third longer term phase. And so you can see here are some fairly ballpark figures based on some previous estimates we've received for comparable systems or research that we've done into other communities that have implemented wayfinding the past few years, and tried to break down sort of the per sign expense. And that being said, there's always fluctuation, whether it's market prices. You know, we saw a lot of increase in cost through the pandemic, and there's been some pullback on those costs for construction and implementation. But, you know, these are, again, just kind of ballpark figures, sort of low of what we've seen and high of what we've seen, hoping that the realistic figures are going to be, you know, somewhere in the middle of these. And talking with your fabricators, whenever you put this out to bid, they'll be able to provide you, you know, some different variables as well from materials and implementation details that should hopefully affect that cost as well.
And these figures do not include the gateways. That's a whole nother thing. That's your
Correct, because
your monument
gateways,
signs.
yeah, the monuments, they can fluctuate drastically given their scale. Because even though we're showing conceptual designs, whenever you get out there on the roadway, taking into account your physical environment, the location of the sign and traffic and other like environmental considerations, those prices can fluctuate way more than we're capable of estimating. And so within the report, there is an implementation strategy in here as well. And after talking with Austin last week in preparation for this, you know, he's already working on figuring out how to implement this by funding through the general obligations funds. And so, you know, a lot of this legwork is already being underway. So that, you know, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to focus on the phasing strategy, so that we can figure out what signs are important to get people from the boundary of the community to the primary destinations within the village, and not leave them hanging on, you know, with a turn that we sent them down a road but didn't follow through. So that's kind of why it moves from the center out of the village, so that those signs in the core are definitely more important, so that once people are in the heart of the community, then those signs can point them to the right direction. But as we get a little further out, the phasing starts to kick in. We're at second, third phase. So the system will ultimately be nice and robust. But in the meantime, we've got some strategy to make sure that people are getting to where they need to go without being sent down a road without another turn sign. So that's it from like a broad overview of the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and even if need be, you know, open the report if anybody needs to see anything more specific.
I'll just add real fast to cancel that the wayfinding phases were put into the GeoBond numbers, just as a reminder.
From a funding standpoint?
They were, yes.
Okay, because that was a big question. My biggest concern was like, I think I read 5% of the capital cost should be budgeted towards this every year?
So Austin took the report that you see in front of you, and he put those numbers into the GeoBond projections that First Tryon's been presenting to you all. So they're in there as a phased approach. We have not yet decided on what projects are going in what years, but those numbers are included in the numbers y'all have been discussing.
So Plan B, if the bond doesn't pass, is what?
I don't know
We
that
will
answer.
have to look more towards grant funding and outside sources.
Okay.
Unless we want to start pulling funds from reserve.
Because that was the other thing. I thought grants are the way to go with this. I mean, I'm thinking, 'cause I'm looking at the cost and what our percentage of what we would be spending on this is significant. Sean, I have a question for you. There's a movie out that says, if you build it, they will come. So do you build it first, or do you have signs that are for future stuff? What's your recommendation?
Are you talking about?
For instance, Heritage District, we know where it is, it's identified, but there's really nothing there yet. But we start putting signs that say Heritage District, and then, or do we wait, do you have the council consider maybe wait till it's halfway built out and then say, okay, we can put a sign up now strategically to where the Heritage District is, to start drawing people to that?
It's a really good question. I will say from my take on your system, and this would change from system to system, is if you decide that since the Heritage District is not technically a destination yet, and you wanted to go with signs and just pull that destination off of those panels and implement the system where, you've got 2 destinations on panels that had 3. The biggest expense for your system is probably going to be the footers and the poles. And the poles are typically one of the more expensive components. The panels, oddly enough, are usually the cheaper component to a wayfinding sign. If we look at the estimation here for fabrication, and this doesn't have it. Oh yeah, it does. So for, trying to circle it and it went somewhere else. But, for the low estimate of, 4,800 and the high estimate of 8,000, for those prices, the footer is a large portion of that. The poles are large, the installation, but the fabrication of the panel itself is actually fairly low, as a few $100s to under $1,000 from what we've seen. So when you look at an $8,000 sign, the biggest chunk is getting people out to dig a hole, put a footer in, fabricate ornate poles, put those in, and then you're mounting basically an aluminum panel with vinyl stickers on it. So that's why the panels are typically more affordable. So what you could do is potentially order the poles sized for the larger eventual installation, and then just only putting in the 2 destination panel. And then whenever you want to upgrade it and do the 3 destination panel, you order a new panel, you go out, they relocate the bars across the top of the destinational panel here. So there could be a way of doing it in a staged approach from that regard, so that you're only implementing the 2 destinations for now. I could pull up I'm just kind of curious looking at the sign schedule of how many of them. Yeah, there's probably a good number of them that do have the Heritage District on there. So you'd probably be doing that to a good number of your signs. So that's a really good question, and I think it definitely begs a little bit more discussion, of what that would look like as far as the the phased approach from a budgetary standpoint, and it might even be something to consider.
Did you freeze?
Keep in mind, well, he froze, but keep in mind, the
And reaching
actual,
out to a couple sign vendors and getting some input from them about what that could look like as well, because they might be able to give you more realistic figures on what, putting it in now looks like, and then updating it in, 2 years, 3 years, whenever, that more of that comes online, or just doing it now and then replacing it in a few years.
Okay.
So, Sean, we appreciate that. We can actually discuss this at a later date whenever the GO bonds, we have those discussions. We do have a little bit of funding in our CIP that's designated towards signs. It's not a lot, but we can use that for at least a few of them to start off with, so.
So as I'm looking at these signs, and we pick the vendor to make these signs?
Yes, you'll want to put this out
So,
for bids.
as I look at this, what would be really cool is just having an adjustable sign. You want 2 signs and it goes to 3, you just slide it up and throw the other sign in there. I'm sure there's a sign company can make this where we're not pouring the concrete post multiple times and replacing with 2 sign, we now have 3 events. Get a company that can make us, that we can place 3 signs in there. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
the footer would not have to move because the sign locations wouldn't change. So yeah, the footer expense and all that would be a one-time expense. It would just be a matter of sort of if you're going to end up with long poles for a couple of years waiting to do, the larger
Right.
sign, or if you just wanted to do, the shorter ones up front. And I think with the way these are designed, I don't think you're going to have like an exorbitant expense to do it in a phased approach like that.
we've got a lot of time to figure this out too, so.
And you mentioned like places that are private, and what I thought about right away is for those private entities that want to be on this, or maybe suggest if it's a state or not, you're thinking you're being conservative there, but say if a company like Firethorn wanted to be displayed out there and they were willing to pay for that post and sign, you're still thinking that that's not, because it's private, it's not something we should consider?
Well, there are regulations because these signs will be put in the right of way and they are owned by the municipality. I wish DOT was more clear with me about it. They provided some information again around they're called TOD signs, TODS. It's tourism-oriented destinational signage. And so it's ways that you can put logos on signs if you've got a cluster of hotels or restaurants or amusement destinations such as a golf course. So there are ways that they can be included on certain types of directional signage. They just weren't very clear. They didn't give me the confidence that I was looking for to feel comfortable including them in the system without having to rework everything whenever you all went to the permitting phase. And so that's why we erred on the side of pulling back. The other thing is, it's just one of those things that it is a bit of a can of worms once you open it for a company or it's a different type of destination, then it becomes what are the criteria?
What will we allow and what won't we? Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm gonna interrupt really quick. I think Austin's right. We've got plenty of time to do this. We don't have any money to do it right now. I think we really just kind of need to focus on the conceptual plan, and if we like it, because again, this is a plan. This is not set in stone. This is not, we're not going out tomorrow getting bids on these things. I do want to make sure, Christina, that the monuments are factored into the GO bond because it wasn't on the regular numbers that were in there. So I would just want to make sure that we've got some money set aside for the monuments. But I also think if we're talking about like the Heritage District, if you build it, they will come. Well, hopefully at some point, maybe some of these landowners in their development plans, we can have them do some of the signage as well. I think that is something that we can discuss. But I think really what we need to do tonight is, do we like the concept? Do we like the colors? Do we like the plan? And if that's the case, then again, it's a plan. So let's approve it. And then as we get funding for it, then we can figure out what we're going to do and when we're going to do it.
The monuments are in the GO bond funds. We did factor those in, and we overestimated just to be safe. So those
Perfect.
are
Thank
in there.
Perfect.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions for Sean? Because if not, I'm going to make a motion.
I was just going through all my things that I wrote down, but since we're not necessarily, we're making a motion to move forward with this, correct?
Yeah.
It's
To-
the
to-
plan, not necessarily funding.
Construction, and you haven't funded it, and you haven't chosen the
Okay,
You're just approving the concept plan.
Okay.
So you're not obligating future
all
plans.
right,
I'm good with the concept plan.
Yeah, I am too.
Okay.
all right.
So I'm going to make a motion to adopt the wayfinding master plan as presented.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sean, thank you so much. It was great working with you. Really appreciate all your help, and you guys did a great job.
Thank you all so much again, and look forward to keeping up to date with all the new developments there. So thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean. Normally I get kicked by Kim saying, let's move this along, but she's not here to kick me, so
Just moved it along for you.
Happy dance.
just kidding. All right, give me a second here, I'll get back to my screen. Next up, we have reports and updates. Manager's report. What you got?
I just have one thing. Piggybacking off of what Sean just said, Union County actually reached out to us about joining a consortium for the CDBG entitlement grants. It's one of the funding sources that he had mentioned in that grant opportunity. There's no obligation for us to pay any fees or any of that. It's just kind of a group that comes together to meet about these opportunities. Monroe, Marshville, Stallings, Waxhaw, Weddington, Wingate, Fairview, Indian Trail, Mineral Springs, and Wesley Chapel are all members of this group.
And what is the group again?
It's called the Union County Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Consortium. So unless anyone has any objections,
Maine.
we're going to join that group to potentially tap into some of the funding that they have.
Do we send someone as a representative? Do we gotta,
We do, and there's no obligation to send an elected official. It could be staff, so we can handle it internally on our ends.
I vote Kim since she's not here, so.
It didn't
No.
take you long to pop on.
No,
This is
no.
what happens when you're not here.
Can't you
I know.
kick him using AI?
Don't I volunteer for everything as it is?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
To date, and
Come cut
I don't
my
know when
grass.
that date started, but to date, Union County has received approximately $6 million in CDBG funds to help their community members address needs in the community. So some of the eligible activities are acquisition of real property, clearance and demolition, rehabilitation of residential and non-residential structures, public facilities and improvements such as water, sewer, streets, neighborhood centers, code enforcement, public services, and special economic development and job creation retention activities. So there's a lot of things that we could potentially use if we were awarded for funding. So unless y'all have any objections, we're going to send a letter to join the consortium, and we'll send someone at a staff level to conduct those meetings or attend those meetings.
You don't need a motion, do you?
Yeah,
You
unless
do?
anyone objects, we're moving forward. I don't need a motion.
Straupel, everyone good with that?
Yep.
And that's all I have.
Sign us up. All right, thank you. Planners report. Hunter.
Don't know.
You're up.
One update that I know is Marvin Loop wise, I think I mentioned last time that we submitted our concurrence for our firm selection. We did get confirmation from DOT that our funding was authorized. Now we're just waiting on DOT to concur with our selection of Dewberry as our preliminary engineering. Once we have that, we can start entering the contract and get some plans done. So hopefully to have all that continuing moving forward and have DOT's concurrence in the next I would say hopefully by the end of the month, because it was all submitted back in May.
And that's for what? Because
The Marvin Loop Trail
okay.
project. Other than that, that's all I got.
And that, the last PIM we had, any notes or comments on that?
Yeah, we had the public involvement meeting for the ZEPSA property rezoning. Had roughly probably about 7 people attend. It was kind of an open forum. We have received additional questions, comments from some adjoining residents, encourage them to, once again, come to the public meetings that we have to express that. But other than that, the applicants revising their submittal and getting me all the proper documentation, and it's going to be on planning board for next week, and then, but it's anticipated most likely that planning board will not make a decision until July.
Okay. Any questions for Hunter? All right, thank you. Next up, roads report. Is that you, Christina? You got some good news, maybe, I heard.
I do.
There you
So
go.
we did receive information from DOT today that the utilities have completed, and now we're just waiting for a construction start date from the contractor. So as soon as I know, y'all will know, but the light at the end of the tunnel is definitely there.
Okay, so when we get notice, then there's a process from a communication standpoint, I assume?
We're going to blast it everywhere.
Okay, all right.
We're gonna
Good
try-
news is we're out of school.
We're going to try to use the
Ed
trailer.
volunteered full-time to direct traffic? That's so nice of you.
We're going to try to use the trailer that we received with the ARPA funding that's out front to communicate some of that message to the community.
Okay. Good deal.
That's all
Anything
I-
else?
That's all I have at this point.
All right. Deputies report.
So unless y'all have questions, it is in your agenda packet.
Yeah, it's in the agenda packet. Any questions on what was provided to us? I hear Ed is stopping more cars. Maybe it's the summer, young kids driving fast.
I got one of my bucket list done too. I got one passing the school last week.
Ooh, that's a big one. So. That's a what? That's an ouch ticket? Can't believe people still do that. Any questions from council on that? Okay.
Who's been the officers out there basically at the state line on Newtown?
That's all done with our off-duty, so I don't think he would know specifically.
They've been doing a good job down there. I went by one way, had somebody come back there.
I know one of them's a deputy cop from Crop from Weddington. He does it a lot. Oh, okay. He's out there almost every night.
Well, they've been racking up good stuff.
I'll let him know.
Between here and the state line.
You were talking about the other day, that was me. You stopping cars, that was me.
Yeah.
Make sure your microphones are on, by the way, if you're speaking.
Oh,
Friendly reminder.
Kim's not here to shut mine off. Thank you, Ed, and thanks for your service, as always. Planning board.
There were 2 meetings that we had in the month of May. We had one on May 16th, and we discussed, basically, we talked about the Sage at Marvin, which is the subdivision that's going to be at Joe Carr and Marvin Road. There's going to be some changes, adjustments, which Hunter could probably allude to. It's just it's not going to start off like it was. You can get into detail about that. We talked about the ZEPSA rezoning submittal, as well as the Marvin Heritage District, some of the form-based code revisions that we're making. Then we recessed, and then when we came back on the 30th, we're actually going through training, basically going through the Marvin Development Ordinance Project. We're looking at step-by-step being trained how to look and change or review the ordinances that we have in Marvin. So that went on for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I meant to add to that. The UDO rewrite project is underway, making good progress, and do encourage council to either, watch online, come and attend, review the minutes. I will try to start making it a habit to probably include what sections were introduced. I have all copies of those sections as well as the minutes from the discussion for you guys, just so to kind of keep you up to speed. And then my also intent's probably to do a joint meeting in the coming months, just to kind of get you guys, keep you guys in the loop where we don't make all these all these changes in this new rewrite. And it gets you guys, and then you're completely off, not in line with what's being proposed and already reviewed with planning board. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to me or, just check in on the project.
I just want to say one thing on that. I was here doing something, and anyway, the gentleman's name to come in,
Rick Flo.
Rick came in, Hunter was here with him. I got probably a 45-minute Cliff Notes version of everything that they were doing. And this is a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. It's not them just coming in and rewriting something and saying, okay, here it is, and you go with it. There are many ways that it protects us as a council to learn how to even make motions on something and how to present something and how to work through the ordinances themselves. So this is big for us, and if we get this right, the one thing that he spent 45 minutes, and I said, so basically what you're doing is you're taking politics out of whatever we're doing. And he goes, yeah. And I said, that's where we need to be, because when we go further discussion, it should be further discussion, all in favor, or all not in favor, all opposed. I mean, there's a method to the madness that he's going to, besides just putting words on paper. There's more to it than just that. And he gave me kind of that snapshot view, and I'm like, it really makes you think. But again, the biggest thing that I took away from that conversation was, we're going to get to a point where we're taking politics out of it. Very important.
But yeah, so, like I said, we're kind of in the boring stuff right now, like literally defining planning board and board of, just administrative type stuff that goes in ordinances kind of for clarification. I think roughly in our timeline, October is when we kind of get into the meat, which is the regulations of property per se. I mean, as in setbacks and permitted use, all that stuff. Development ordinances of what you think about. That's probably when I want to have council kind of more involved, because that's the stuff where we'll be discussing, making sure that it's aligned with our goals, vision, land use plan, current ordinance, and so on. So I'll keep you up to date on that moving forward. And if you guys, like I said, have any questions or want to know what's been presented or kind of want to read what's been presented, feel free. I've got all copies of all that. You guys will have binders. We can actually go ahead and you guys will have binders with the presented ordinances.
Again, I would highly recommend if you can attend these meetings or.
Not a quorum.
They can do it. We just have to do it.
When do they start?
They've already started.
Yeah.
But he said this is more of a phased approach. However, I think you're a little behind schedule if you come in phase 2 and phase 3. If we just make it a note as, whether it's being a part of it via YouTube or whatever, however we're doing it, I would highly recommend just being a part of that. He impressed me on the mechanics of all this and the purposes and the reasonings behind it, and it's worth our while.
Okay. But we can't have a quorum to meet.
If you do, I just need to know about it.
Okay.
But we can still do via YouTube or something.
Yes,
I can't hear you guys.
We
You
can
aren't
still,
talking in your microphone.
we can still do it via YouTube, And again, if you make it, if you miss it, you know, you can catch back up. But I just think it's one of these things, to me, it's probably one of the most important things that we have done as this council. And at first I was just like, okay, they're gonna do a rewrite, and we're gonna do it, we're gonna look at it, and we're gonna go, okay, here it is. And that's not how he presented it. And that, I mean, he gave me a 45-minute Cliff Note version of the reasonings, the impact of how he's gonna change our way of going through these ordinances, presenting them, whatever. And again, the most impressive part that I took out of it is literally, when this is done, it should take a lot of the politics out of it. I don't think you'll ever take all of it out, but I think you're in a position when this is done to take a lot of the politics out of it.
Okay. Anything else? All right, moving on, PR&G Board Report.
Okay, so we did a Marvin Day update, which I know we're gonna do, so I'm not gonna dive into that right now. We did talk about the trail priorities for the GEO bond. I went through the list, with Park Rec and Greenway. They're very excited about getting these trails done, so they thought it was a really good idea. They did have a couple of, maybe suggestions of what we may wanna add. They definitely suggested the Chimneys Trail that runs behind the chimneys, and then also the trail that runs from the end of the Chimneys Trail kind of by, Cedar Hill Farm and up by the school. Those were their two main things that they kind of thought that maybe we should add, that we hadn't. I don't think there was anything else, but those were the two main ones that they were kind of like, well, maybe you guys could add these. So if we could just kind of put that on our list to talk about, at our work session, because I know we're going over kind of our final list, but I think those two, you know, at least have another conversation about them. And then the Marvin Gardens Pocket Park. We talked about that again. They are going to try to look at some native plants and kind of doing a mix between kind of natural and a little bit of manicured. So they're working on a plan. It's not going to be anything we can do right now, but we're going to try to look at some plants and get some plants from the tire cleanup. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. And then the fall and winter event planning, we started talking about that because we've got National Night Out coming up in less than 2 months. We've got Halloween, we've got tree lighting, we've got friendship trees. So there's a lot of stuff that we kind of needed to start discussing. So we were working on that and talking with Tyler about those things. So that was the gist of our meeting. Any questions?
I think I got an ice cream truck for you for National Night Out, at least.
Ooh, hot dogs, or hot dogs or ice cream?
Ice cream. Prepackaged ice cream, so I just hands them out.
All right.
We actually already have one booked,
One what?
ice cream, for National Night Out.
I haven't been privy to that information.
Oh,
Okay, well, let's talk about that at that agenda item. Anybody have any questions about Park Rec and Greenway update? Okay.
thank you, Kim. Next up, we have Marvin Day Planning Report. You got that, Jill? Who wants that?
Why would Jill have that? This is no longer Jill's
Oh, that's
jam.
right. She
This
just
is
got
now
real
Tyler.
quiet on me.
Good,
My
good
The
apologies,
work.
baton
Tyler.
was
Answer the
passed
question.
officially.
My apologies.
I was there. I
Welcome,
saw the
Tyler.
ceremony.
Tyler's in the hot seat.
I'll just kind of jump in and say, as Mayor Pro Tem said, we did have a meeting at PRG to discuss Marvin Day. We also had a planning meeting after the Marvin Day, after the PRG meeting to discuss Marvin Day and how it went and kind of some of the changes that we want to see and discuss and further make decisions on. In your consent agenda, we are reassigning a few of those committee members so we can further discuss the subcommittee, at the subcommittee level, some of the changes that we're going to make. I don't think we're fully prepared to bring a full report as to what changes and all that stuff we're looking for at this point. We're going to allow the subcommittee to talk about it one more time before we bring an actual report back to you all. So I would think probably August work session, we'll have a better idea of what we would like to see happen for '24. Unless there's anything specific that Mayor Pro Tem thinks we should discuss, I think we'd reserve that for a meeting after.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't come up with anything, and we've got to add a couple more members to the subcommittee. No, I mean, I think it went fantastic. I'm very proud of the village. I'm very proud of staff. I don't think it could have been executed any better. We're just gonna work on some tweaks just to, continue to improve it, but no, nothing specific at this time.
So we'll be prepared to talk about more detail in August, if that's okay with you, July or August.
One comment to make. I just had a conversation with someone today about the Strawberry Festival down in Rock Hill. And they made mention, they had asked me about Marvin Day, and I told them about Marvin Day. It was a great success. I thought our team really just knocked it out of the park and did a lot of great things. They said that was great because in the Strawberry Festival started out very slow. For many years was very slow, not very well attended, and now it's a huge success, something that everyone puts on their calendar. And we have to think that long-term as well. However, the one thing that they said, still with the Strawberry Festival, and they've been doing it for many, many years down there, their number one issue is
Parking.
there. So we had a great meeting when we did the kind of the recap and stuff, but again, just put in perspective that, they're looking where they never left focus on what they were doing there. And I'm not saying we're anything like them, and it's a different thing that they're doing than we're doing. But the realization is that they never stopped, making it better, and then all of a sudden it became what it is today. And again, they even said, we're always still year after year after year looking for changes and doing things better. So, but again, I think we knocked it out of the park and did a
So the only I think it was a great event. It was fun to be at. The only comment, and I'll look forward to July, August, whenever we do it, because I had come to talk, just put some points together, but we'll present that at another time. But the only thing that I would probably really think about is date. We were conflicting with a lot of graduation parties in June, so having it late May, I think that was, and then, obviously we'll get into how we can be better attended and different venues we can bring in. I thought the car show did a lot the first year, brought in a lot of people, but the parking is the biggest issue, and that's going to be continuing and stuff. So, but the date, and being that we're getting into June, some schools are out already, graduations, whatever have you, so I'd really like to push. So once we get it on the calendar, will be the most important thing. And I think better communication with some of the, and that's probably on me, like even if we had a better communication with the school, because believe it or not, I got a call from a former county commissioner asking about why the school wasn't working with us on the event.
The date's obviously very important for us, so we'll talk about that when we do our debrief of what we want to change. In terms of communication, we can definitely have a conversation about that. There's some explanation to that. I know that the school charges now for communication, so we can delve more into that when we give you the briefing that.
Yeah,
after.
okay. And then the only thing I'll add to that is I think I said without asking my wife that I would host an event thanking the staff and everyone who worked at my house at some point, sooner than later. If we have to wait till after August to debrief or whatever, that's fine, or we can do it, we can figure it out. So, honey, if you're listening, yeah, we're having a party at our house, so.
Do you have parking?
Yeah, we'll have a shuttle. that runs.
Well, I will tell you, it being a part of that meeting, and let's just take that meeting out, just all the things before this. We have a lot of great minds here, that whatever issues we have moving forward and the issues of parking and communication and all that, I am 100% confident we're gonna make it better every time, and we're gonna address these issues. We've got a lot of great minds here that want this to be a success. They've proved it for 2 years in a row, under just big circumstances that have never even doing this before. We never done that before at Eford Park. We introduced Eford Park to a lot of people. My point being that we've got a lot of great people that will work very hard and are smart enough and are wise enough. We're gonna address these and make it better.
And for anyone who's listening out there on the web world, I will say that the event during the day was fantastic, and they missed 2 fantastic bands. First time I've heard either of those bands. They were great. Yeah, so anyways, all right.
I've got some comments to make.
All right, go ahead, Wayne.
I was, graduations of high schools and stuff go around. I was at a couple of parties in the Wesley Chapel area. I had numerous questions about Marvin Day, how that we developed something that, and there's people that was upset that they didn't get to come because of other things, the dates. But I had a lot of questions and a lot of people there's still people that have not, for one reason or another, been over here to tour. They asked me about coming. I told them, let me know that I would give them a tour here. You know, I don't know.
We do
how many-
tours.
But there's people that don't live here, that they have a lot of questions about Marvin. They want to know how we do some of these things that other people do not do as much as we do inside. So I just thought, you know, I like their willingness to question me about some of the things.
Yeah.
Doing something right.
All right, any other comments, notes? Thank you, and again, welcome again, Tyler. You didn't have to say much, but you're brand new to all this. Next up, we have consent agenda. I'll need a motion to approve the agenda as presented on the agenda.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have no public hearings. Moving on to Village Hall. Do we have anything for Village Hall?
We do not.
Okay. That said, we'll go on to unfinished business, discussion with coffee and council and event dates. Austin, I would bet that would be you. We got to get our calendars out.
Yep,
right?
break out your calendars. First up is Thursday, July 6th. That's one of the morning ones, 10 to 11 a.m.
July 6th.
July 6th. Who wants it?
I will just be getting back home,
Wayne?
so I can take that.
Kim. Wayne and Kim.
Oh, Kim put her hand up?
Yes, she's.
Yes, I
Missed
did.
it. Missed it, okay.
Next up is Tuesday, July 25th, 6 to 7 p.m.
I'll take that.
Joe?
I'll take it.
Jamie?
Oh, no, I can't, sorry.
Not Jamie?
That's in the evening, right?
That's an evening.
I'll take it with Joe.
Andy?
Nobody wants to be with me. That's scary. Tyler, are you interested?
He doesn't know you yet, sure.
Careful what you sign up for. Thursday, August 3rd, 10 to 11 a.m. Jamie?
August,
3rd.
I'll do it.
Kim?
That's at what time?
10 in the morning. Next up is August 29th. That's a Tuesday at night, 6 to 7 p.m.
August 29th.
Wayne?
That's in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
29th, August, I'll take it.
Joe?
Talk story, Wayne.
Sept-
Bring some good stories.
Thursday, September 7th, 10 to 11 a.m.
I'll take that.
Bob?
What is that?
That's my birthday.
September 7th, 10 to 11 a.m.
You're not gonna be doing anything at 10 o'clock in the morning.
September 7th, I'll take that.
Maybe you'd get a cake if you showed up.
What did you say?
Oh, it's Andy's birthday.
Andy's like, I don't want to do it.
Andy's
It's my
birthday. He
birthday.
was saying,
Yeah, it's gonna be my birthday.
Morning. Yeah, Andy, I'd bring you a cake. But
Yeah,
you don't want to come, that's
cupcakes.
fine.
And lastly, we have Tuesday,
Did you get
September-
me for the 7th on the morning?
I've got you on the 7th, yes.
Okay.
And lastly, Tuesday, September 26th at 6 to 7 p.m. at night. Jamie? I'm gonna pick somebody.
Andy hasn't signed up yet.
I have too.
Andy and Bob each have one, so,
I'll take it.
Bob. All right, that's it.
Week. Hey, Austin, on your master list, it says Thursday, December 5th. I think it's Thursday, December 7th, just on your master list. Double check that.
You are correct. I'll fix that. Thank you.
Okay, yep.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Next up, we have discussions, consideration, and National Night Out. Event date.
I'll take this. So, there's been some discussions of National Night Out. Obviously, the date is approaching. PRG met last week and discussed the date. They prefer it to be the August 3rd or August 1st, I can't remember, August 1st date. If you remember, this is a national event. They do offer two dates. The other alternative date is in October. They do this to allow municipalities to have the flexibility of hosting the event in a cooler climate, if they so choose. We've done both dates in the past. The PRG board wanted to do the August 1st date. However, staff is recommending to go with the October 3rd for a couple of different reasons. Primarily, there's going to be some key staff members that are out during that time. Myself, Tyler was actually scheduled to be out, but he can make changes to be here. Tommy's not going to be here that date, and John Barisic is also not going to be here. With this being Tyler's first event by himself, I just hesitate to not have some of the key leaders here, knowing the growth and the craziness that happened last year in terms of the number of attendees. So it's completely y'all's decision to keep it August 1st, but our recommendation is to change it to the October alternate. We also have a couple of questions in terms of food and that sort of thing, but if y'all first and foremost want to decide on the date.
I think it would be prudent for us to have it on October 3rd. If you got key,
Yeah.
if we already know we got key individuals out, then we should change it. So I'm fine with October 3rd.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
And is that an issue with the county, who usually comes with all their forces and?
I've communicated to both Ed and Tommy. We've been discussing it. Ed and Tommy both think that it's going to be fine. You can, I don't know if you.
I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to get a turnout of people coming out. I don't believe.
I'm not necessarily worried about turnout. I'm worried about, like, because National Night Out is usually on a specific night in August, is it not?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're moving it, Marvin only is moving it to October 3rd.
There's other places that do it on that day, because there's 2 dates that they offer. I don't know
Oh.
what communities are offering it on.
It's usually a rain date, in case it gets rained out. I personally think that we should leave it on August 3rd, or August 1st, whatever the date is.
August 1st.
August 1st. August 1st. I understand that Christina's gonna be out of town, Tommy's gonna be out of town, John's gonna be out of town. We handled it just fine with John being out of town last year. Ed's back. He's done it multiple years in a row, and
We got
quite
Tyler.
honestly, we have Tyler, and Tyler has 2 months to figure this out. If Tyler can't figure this out in 2 months, then we got problems. So, I think that, and I have full confidence that Tyler's gonna knock this one out of the park. But I think that at the end of the year, if we wait until October, we have trick or treat, we have friendship trees, we have the tree lighting, we have a lot of events, and I can see somebody's head flying off of their neck, with the amount of work that's gonna go into all of those additional events. I would much rather leave it August 1st. Again, Ed's back, he's done it for years and knows exactly what to do. So even if Tommy's not in town, I feel super confident having Ed, like, being able to help. So for me, I think we should just leave it again, it's in the summer, it's on a Tuesday. If we wait till October, it's gonna be, I don't think the turnout's gonna be as well.
School night.
Yep. That's my opinion.
That's, I mean, well thought out, and I tend to agree with you, but does council want to make any more comments, or do we want to vote on this?
I have to agree with Kim. I think it's gonna be better attended in August, and I have full confidence that Tyler can put this together in 2 months. And I also have a lot of confidence in Ed. He's done it many, many times. So I don't see it being an issue.
You have a greater motion in your packet for once we go through all the discussion points for the date and for everything else.
Yeah, it's really long. Someone can get to that one. Is everybody, are we of the consensus that y'all want to stick with August 1st?
I'm fine with it. I'm just, no problem. Yep.
Okay. The second date, or the second item is food. Do we want to have a board member cook the food or a vendor providing the food? I know last couple of years, we've had our staff members and board members to prepare the food. John Bersich, I think, was one of the main ones that grilled. I think Jen may have done it too in the past. We don't budget a lot of money for this event, so I think we were entertaining the idea of a hot dog truck, and we had generally estimated around $3 or $4 per hot dog. Is that,
Last year, how many times did you have to go out and get extra food?
twice?
I thought it was 3, but
It might have been 3, but I know it was at least twice.
I mean, because it went over real big.
So do y'all want to have a vendor?
So Christina, I'm confused. Like a vendor that we're paying for, or a vendor that the public is paying for?
Either or. This has always been a free event. I think the discussion has been around us paying for the hot dog truck. But obviously it would be around $3 or $4 per hot dog. I can't tell you exactly how many we purchased last year, but I want to say it was in upwards of 400 to 500 items.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers that were being eaten and cooked. So I'm not sure, $2,500. I think we got a lot more food, and we got some donated. I think, maybe not. But we definitely have a public gift card that we still have money on that we can use.
I'll try to get a hold of Brian over at,
She can't hear you. She can't hear you. If you want to come up to this.
I'll try to get a hold of Brian from Kohl's and see about the Kohl's Care program. I think
Okay.
I think they give like $500 to $1,000 depending on how many people show up. So I'll go over and discuss that with him when I come back from vacation next week.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I mean, Jennifer and Christina cooked last year. I mean, I was there helping them. I mean, they did a great job. I know they're willing to do it. From our meetings, they're willing to cook again. I mean, I'm willing to hop in there and flip some dogs and burgers.
Okay, so
I gave out cookies last year, so.
So we're of the opinion that we want to do us serving it and not have a vendor. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll get behind the grill if I have to. I did it
I can
before.
always take this off and do it.
And then
Yeah.
two more questions that I have is, we've talked about ice cream. I did not know we had reserved a truck already. I've already asked the mayor to get the free ice cream truck that he has a connection with, so I'm not sure who, did you reserve the truck or?
No, so Tyler, myself, and Tommy had a National Night Out meeting right after the PRG meeting last week, and the woman who was at Marvin Day with the Junior Scoops slushy truck had already approached us about being at National Night Out, since
Okay.
she kind of saved our butts at Marvin Day when our funnel cake lady decided she got a better offer at Wingate. So she had agreed and sent over a bunch of different pricing, tiered pricing, whether we wanted to pay her or have her sell directly to the public was a decision for
Okay.
Tyler and y'all to make.
So there's three options that we've got on the table. Number one is have the icy lady at a cost that we pay for, like we did last year. I don't know if you know off the top of your head how much we paid on ice cream trucks, but it was pretty expensive last year. I want to say it was $2,000 or $3,000. Or if we want consumers to buy that on the spot, or if we want to entertain the free packaged ice cream truck.
Yeah, in fairness, I mean, he has a truck that's out, he promotes his real estate company, and he just passes out prepackaged ice cream. So, I mean, that probably is a little more variety, plus it sounds like she's, you know, and I can go back to him and say, look, we were obviously double booked, we'll have to figure it out for another event. I'm sure he'll be
Yeah,
fine.
we've got plenty of events he can come to.
Yeah, yeah, so.
So do y'all want to, I'm assuming she wants us to pay. Is that how the arrangement was worked?
She's fine to charging the public. That's what she was doing at Marvin Day. I just told her that in the past, National Night Out was a free event that we paid for. So she just sent over a tiered structure. Basically, the more I sell, the cheaper it's going to be for you. And she had all these different tiers. But she honestly just wants to partner with us moving forward. She would probably be fine to come to the trick or treat event if we told her, like, listen, our budget for National Night Out's really small. We don't think we can swing that and food, and we can't turn down this free offer for ice cream, but we'd love to have you at trick or treat. I think she'd be fine with that.
So do y'all want to discuss what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking out loud, which is scary, but I'm thinking of subsidizing, like, hey, we say, hey, we're going to give you X amount of money, but can you cut the price of your ice cream so it doesn't get out of hand, and anyone who's paying is paying $1 or $2 to get their scoop of ice cream, and we promise her X amount of dollars or whatever
Or
as
you
an
could do-
option.
See, I think if we're paying for hamburgers and hot dogs, then they can buy their ice cream.
Are they
Or you could
paying
do
for
the first
hamburgers and
100
hot
free.
dogs?
No, we're paying for hamburgers and hot
Okay,
dogs.
so,
They're not paying for that. So if they want dessert, they can buy their ice cream.
Yeah,
Or
and just
slushie or whatever they have.
to piggyback off that, we also gave away free cookies at National Night Out last year.
A lot
And
of
we
free
had
cookies.
chips, tons of chips and drinks. So I agree. I mean, potentially, we're giving away a lot of stuff. If they buy some things, it's probably okay.
We fed a lot of families dinner that night, like full meals, appetizer, main course, dessert, drinks. It was a lot.
So are we hearing, is there a consensus we want to charge
just for ice cream
attendees.
only?
Yeah.
for ice cream? And keep
I-
the,
Totally fine with that.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to be charging anything. I think there can be a vendor there, and
Right.
then if people want to go buy ice cream, go buy ice cream.
Yeah.
okay. And then go ahead.
I know prior, when I was doing it National Night Out, I'll reach out to the HOAs. They gave a lot of money the last year that I did it here. So I'll send out an email to them and reach out to them and see if they'll contribute to it.
Yeah, and if they can
That'd
contribute,
be
we can,
great.
we can put that towards like Publix or wherever we go to buy our cookies or anything we want to provide for the kids with the
Now, I don't
burger and hot
know,
dog.
does anybody know where Tommy was getting the stuff from last year? I used to get it from Sam's, the hamburgers
I
and
think
hot
it was
dogs.
I think it was Publix last year.
All the hot
I
dogs.
know there was a
So-
company that
Sam's, you-
wanted, we had a lot of food at one event at the end of the night, and someone took it to a shelter or something
Yeah, I
like that
used to
the
do
next
that. I
day.
used to bring it to the
I-
Turning
but
Point.
I don't know where-
Turning Point in
yeah.
Monroe.
But I don't know where they got it from.
So
I used to buy it.
last year, Derek and I went shopping at Sam's, and we bought everything in bulk. We had a Sam's membership in the name of the Village of Marvin. This year, Tommy was going to hit Food Lion, Harris Teeter, Publix, all the grocery stores, and try to get them to donate at bare minimum the chips, cookies, waters, Gatorade, and juice. And if we just have to buy, hot dogs and hamburgers, and they can provide the rest. And so he felt pretty confident he would get some success there. We also have about $300 left on the Publix gift card that we can put towards this event. And myself and Tyler, I was introducing our sponsors from last year to Tyler, and some of them want to come back and sponsor the event again. So that could be some additional money that we have in our pocket. And Tyler's going to figure out, what that sponsorship price should be that he feels comfortable with, and kind of settle that up as well. So, but we did buy it at Sam's Club last year.
Well, and whenever we're looking at the list of things we need to make sure we have enough condiments because we kept running out of ketchup, and we just need to make sure we have enough that stuff too.
So the last
And
question,
then signs, we need signs, like signs need to go up like way sooner than they probably normally do.
Does anybody know if Firethorn donated the grill last year or anything?
They did.
They did, okay. I'll talk to them about that, or Tommy will, one of us will get up there.
Perfect, thank you, Ed.
and the last question that I have is, do y'all want us to market it just within Marvin or to surrounding areas as well? Kind of goes along with the signs.
Marvin,
Marvin only.
yeah.
Yeah, because every municipality's doing their own national night out, so let's just keep
Okay.
it local.
That's all the questions that I have. We've prepared a motion in your agenda packet that's pretty long. You've got to insert some information.
I'm updating it.
I think that we understand where we're going, so unless anyone has any further questions, concerns, or comments, I think staff has their direction.
Do you want me to make a motion?
Yes, please.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to select National Night Out on August 1st and direct staff to market it to Marvin and offer ice cream at the cost to whoever is purchasing it and food to be supplied and cooked by board members.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up, where are we at? New business. Anybody? Open topics? We're moving on to open topics. Anyone have anything for open topics? The only thing I would say is, for open topics, is if you could do me a favor for WUMA, there's a little confusion of where WUMA is being held. I believe it is here. I will not be able to attend that. I think Andy will be here. But can you send a note out to them, to all the members, just saying, confirming that it is here at 4 o'clock on the 22nd?
I will do that. I'll talk to Karen Weddington too, because her and Ann over there are usually the ones that man the schedule.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of confusion. In fact, someone showed up here last time, I think, so.
Is it our first time having it here?
No, we've had it here before.
We've had it.
And actually, both times I've been gone, so I'll be gone again for this one too. Way to welcome the other towns in. You can represent me if you
So
want.
I just have a quick update
Okay,
on, for open topics. So I got a message from Site One that the remainder of the plants that we ordered are in. It's just a couple remaining, so we'll be putting those in, and I will be getting the irrigation in. We ordered it today, it comes in Saturday, I guess, the tubing, so next week sometime I'll get down here and finish the irrigation so that the staff can get the mulch in, and we'll be wrapped up out there, so almost there. Just in time to dig it up for fall.
all right. Anything else? All right. Next up, review of action, agenda items, review of action items.
All right, this is going to be really brief. We have our marching orders for National Night Out. We're going to order signs, ice cream at a cost, moving forward August 1st, marketing to Marvin residents, and the food to be cooked by board members. We're going to send the letter to enroll in the Union County Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Consortium. We have adopted the wayfinding master plan, so we're going to close out that project and begin moving towards implementation. And that's about it. And I'm going to send that email to WUMA for you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Comments on that? We're good there? Mayor Pro Tem list.
She's not here.
And she's
I'm
not-
here. Oh, I'm here.
Sorry.
I'm always here.
Looking over you.
I'm ready.
Mr. Mayor, have you followed up with state rep yet?
You know, interestingly enough, I was at a dinner at NC, I was going to put in my council comments, but I'll mention it now. We had, there was a dinner, I think Christina was at it too, for NCDOT board members. And there happened to be an individual who was at Mr. Brody's level, and I pitched him about that, and his eyes lit up like, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm forgetting his name right offhand, but I have it and his contact info. But he thought that was a great idea. And again, the idea behind it was the way to slowly get this all to be remove the donut holes is to, when someone moves or sells their property or does any title change, then it becomes Marvin. There was a bill in place, and it died somewhere at the state level, but he thought that was a great idea because it really doesn't affect the existing people. And what was that for?
Oh, sorry, nope, sorry, nope.
Okay.
Sorry, not you, sorry.
That was to your son, like, don't do that.
No, it was one of the dogs was getting ready to jump on the computer. And I was like, sorry, I didn't think I was not muted, sorry.
That's okay. I thought you got excited about the annexation. I thought, wow, this is, anyway, so that, I left it with him, and I said I'd be reaching out to him, and I haven't followed up directly with Mr. Brody yet, though.
Okay, well, that's really good information and really good that somebody else thinks, that's a good idea, that,
I just see it, I don't see a downfall to it. There's no reason, if you're selling your property, what do you care that all of a sudden you become a Marvin resident?
Yep. No, I think it's great. Okay, well, let's just keep kind of working on that, as I know annexations are a big push for all of us. Okay, Tyler, this one's for you. We would like to, and we can change that from programmer to Tyler. We want to talk to Union County Public Schools about partnering with them for use of their facilities for weekend events, as we start kind of down our programming path. So just kind of put that in your hat, talk to Union County Public Schools, kind of see what their, where their head's at, what facilities we can utilize, that kind of thing. Winmore Bond. Hunter Chaplin. Hunter doesn't want to answer yes and no.
I don't blame him. It continues to go on. There's an issue with the permitting because the new contractor doesn't have the existing permit with the detention. So we're trying to reach out to the prior contractor, see what the status is there. All this came about last week, but it seems to keep on dragging out for one reason or the other, but most of it is not really on our end.
Yeah, in short, like the HOA is good with the agreement. The concern is the permitting for the stormwater pond. Technically, that permit expired. According to the state, it has to be renewed, then transferred to the HOA. But for it to be transferred to the HOA, it has to be in compliance, which is not in compliance. It also brings in, it's a huge mess. In short, our goal is to hopefully bend the rules, get the pond converted, and then the HOA applied for the post-construction permit, just as any other development would. But it's going through the red tape and loopholes with the state at this moment.
Okay. All righty. Time capsule. Austin, you're also there? Good?
We're good there, yeah.
Okay, check that off the list. We have done the spray paint on the sidewalk.
Yep.
Okay, mark that off the list. I know we're still working on that. Regional stormwater, you guys are moving forward with that. You had a good meeting on that?
Yes.
Got the drainage study in front of me. I want to peruse it.
Okay. So Hunter, everybody likes that?
Yeah, we're still working some things on that one as well.
Okay, but nobody had any major objections in that meeting last week?
No.
Cool. Okay, good. Everybody been looking at their active trash trucks, because the logo's on there and it's about the size of a nickel. So Christina, put that on your list whenever we redo the contract we need to change that. It needs to be bigger and bolder. We can go ahead and mark that off the list. It's on the stupid truck. You just can't see them. No word from the county, Christina, on our proposal?
they're going to discuss it on the 18th or the 19th of June, so I will hopefully have an answer back by the 21st. I'll have an answer at the next work session, more than likely.
Cool. Councilman Wortman, have you completed all of your projects at Village Hall?
You'll be here forever.
Quit adding stuff to my list and I'll get it finished.
We need the hole in the vent and the wall too.
Yeah, I thought you were handling that.
Well, I mean, I can, but nobody really wants me to.
I'll
All right,
get on
just,
that.
okay. And then Christina, you communicated with Bars Recreation. Did she get back to you after you sent her that one picture when I was standing in your office?
She has. We actually had a meeting today, and she is putting together some information and another alternate for you all to look at that is a little more costly. But we will have information for you at the next work session. She will actually be attending that meeting to present the final conceptual and a alternate to consider.
Okay, cool. That's it, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, moving on. Second here, council comments. We'll go right back to you, Kim, since you're out and about.
I did. Again, Marvin Day was awesome. Staff, you guys did a great job. As always, you guys are amazing, rock stars. Thank you so, so much. Thank you to all of the board members, that came and showed up. I mean, our board, but also Park Recreation, Park Recs and Greenway. We have planning board members there. It was really great to see, you know, our board members coming out, supporting the community. And thank you to the community for coming out and supporting us. I think it was great. I think we always have room to improve, but it was really good. So thank you to everybody for that. And Ed, you and Tommy, thank you for all you do, and be safe out there. We really appreciate you. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy?
Oh, and I miss you guys.
Ditto.
Joe's ankle's healing nicely now.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I mean, Kim said it, I really do truly appreciate everybody's participation in Marvin Day. Everybody did a great job, and thanks to the public for coming out and enjoying it. The whole point of it is to get the community together and meet your neighbors and hang out and stuff, and it's working. So that's been a goal of mine since I've been on PRG for about a decade. So, and thanks, law enforcement, for all you do. Be safe. That's it.
Thank you. Bob?
Well, everybody's saying everything that I would say. I was just going to acknowledge Tyler and welcome him to the fold here. So, welcome. I've not personally met you, you know, but I will now.
Stole my thunder, I had that. Wait.
I said earlier about some things, but I happened to think of somebody else. The representative from Beechwood Homes, over the weekend told me how much she really liked coming over here in Marvin Day and how fantastic it was for her to see it and everything. And also the staff, the law enforcement. Thank you all.
Jamie?
Ditto on all that. I mean, law enforcement, everybody came out, and I mean, they made it great. And the fire and safety and all of that group. So big, huge thanks for that, and staff with Marvin Day. You just did an exceptional job. You blew it. You far exceed our expectations every time we turn around, and we greatly appreciate it. The one thing I really hated on Marvin Day is, you know, we had to deal with the inclement weather that was possibly coming in, and we really didn't get to thank, as we should, all of our sponsors, because without the sponsors, we can't make this happen. So all those sponsors that signed up and supported Marvin Day, you make this happen, and we greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it, and we want to thank you, and we just want to make you proud, and we want you to be successful from our event as well, and that's important to us. So all of those sponsors from Marvin Day, thank you certainly from all of us. And to there's some graduations today, and I know Marvin Ridge had their graduation today, so best of luck for all the graduates, whether you're graduating high school, college, middle school, elementary school. It's an important time, and congratulations to all those folks. And I'm going to always flip back to our law enforcement. Be safe. You do a job we wouldn't do, and we appreciate it more than you know. And that's what I got.
Thank you. And for me, obviously, thank staff for your hard work, and especially all coming up until Marvin Day. And I know it's a big sigh of relief for someone in particular, just breathing normally again. But thank you, really, really appreciate that. Sheriff officers, your work that you do for us and being there for us, we really appreciate. So thank you for your service. Also like to welcome the newest member, Tyler Honeycutt, as Parks and Rec. Thank you for taking on this role, and we're excited about this position for you, and I think you'll do fine. You did great with me directing traffic on Marvin Day, and you got it all figured out. So, quick belated happy birthday to Austin, which I think it was his birthday a couple of weeks ago, and a congrats to Austin for NC, North Carolina Association of Municipal Clerks. Many of you may not know this, but he's officially certified in the state of North Carolina to be as certified. So we appreciate the hard work and effort you did with that. I got the notice on that.
I'm certified twice over now.
So there you go. So double the thanks for that then. And then Marvin Day, again, I think the dunk tank was a fun thing. Unfortunately, my family is always late to everything, and they missed getting a chance to dunk me and wanted me to go back up, but
That's all right.
the
Your
only
wife
thing I
got
came
me.
away from it was an ear infection, so dealing with that. And again, congrats to Marvin Ridge High School and the other college graduates that have graduated. It's a big chapter in your life, and the next one is congratulations to all for what lies ahead for them. So we thank you for that. And with that, we don't have a closed session, do we? I guess I can ask. It's almost record-breaking, but not quite. But this was pretty quick. 7:29. I'll need to call for an adjournment. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Enjoy the beach, Kimmy.
I will, thank you. I miss you guys. Good night.
Good night. What's that?
Jen was there in time to dunk me.
Yeah.